Welcome. We are live. I'm Diane Ray, co-founder of the MindBodySpirit.fm podcast network. And I wanted to jump on Facebook Live and say hello. Tina Williamson and I, the other founder, of course, my business partner, we've been talking about doing these regular Facebook Lives and introducing you to our podcasters on the network. We have over 60 podcasters sharing some amazing information on things like angels, past lives, mediumship, spirituality, intuition, health and wellness, and a lot more. And you may recognize some former Hay House Radio and Unity Online Radio hosts here. And we're always looking for people who want to join our mission. So some of you may know I've worked with some really incredible spiritual teachers over the years, like Louise Hay, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Carolyn Mace, and others. And I love to introduce people to their work, but I also like to keep my eye out for new teachers who are out there working and sharing their gifts. And so today I wanted to introduce you to a teacher who might be new to you, some of you, but hopefully will open you up to what he has to say. So Elias Patras was someone that I hadn't worked with before, but when I heard what he was doing and that he was interested in launching a podcast, I knew that we had to give him a home. And his show is called Your Inner Voice, and you can hear him anywhere you get your podcast, as well as on the MindBodySpirit.fm website. And we will have that link displayed for you a little bit later. So I want to welcome you, Elias.
Thank you, Diane. How are you?
I'm good. This is my only, this is Facebook Live number 2. So if I know, woohoo, right? Finally get on the bandwagon, So if I seem a little, nervous on camera, I'm sure I'll warm up eventually.
You're fine. You're doing amazing.
Thank you. Well, I'm so happy to be able to introduce you to people that might not know your work and maybe will now run over, which I hope they do, and check out your podcast. So I wanted to start out by letting people discover a little bit about your work and about you. So when they go to your website, eliaspatras.com, one of the things they'll see is intuitive motivator. So what is that? That's kind of a new term, intuitive motivator.
It's a great term that I came up with. So I think it's really easy when you think about it. I tell people this is what I do. I'm an intuitive motivator, and I like to connect people to their goals, to educate them where their blocks are so they can grow into their limitless possibilities.
And we really are limitless, aren't we? We just don't realize it yet.
We totally are. And, I think part of my job is to help people get out of that place where they feel limited. I think our fear stops us growing, especially intuitively. Like with our podcast, Your Inner Voice, it's important for people to understand that they have to trust it. And when they don't know how to trust, or I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to make a mistake. Yes, you are. And the beauty of that is you get to learn from that. And that is where the magic happens. I believe where the magic happens.
Well, when did you recognize your gifts? Because I believe everybody has some kind of intuition. Some people it's much more developed than others, but how did you come into your own to really recognize your gifts and then want to share them with others?
What I did was things happened when I was little. I mean, I know that you know this, but I'll let everybody know that my adoption story was a huge gift. And I like to tell everybody that everybody has abilities. I think, sometimes gifts, people are like, oh, they have a gift. That's like Oprah coming into your house and saying, you got a gift and you got a gift. Diane, not so much you.
Right.
But everybody has abilities. And I think my mom and dad, when they adopted me, there's mom and dad right there. They were 46 and 56 when they adopted me. And my mom had a dream that she would find a baby in a blue crib with a white dove painted on it and 2 stone pillars with doves on there. And I tell about it on the podcast. So please go listen, guys.
Yes.
It's a great story. I think it's the first podcast that I talk about it. They said to me that I was their gift. And when I was little, since they were older, my mom was born 1919 and my dad was born 1909. So I had a lot of older parents. And how it started was the same dream when I was little. Everybody was in church except for one relative. I would look for that relative. I couldn't see that. The phone would ring. It would wake me out of my sleep. My mom and dad would come in and say, "Oh, honey, Aunt so-and-so passed away." That was the relative that wasn't in the dream. So each time someone would leave, I would get a message that they were not there. And then junior high hit and all of that went away because,
You
I
push
had
it
to
away.
fit in. Yeah. And it started happening very strongly again about a couple years before my mom died. I have to tell you, the intuition, if I didn't learn what I needed to learn then, I probably would have had a nervous breakdown. My mom died in 2000 and my dad died in 2001. And being an only child, let me tell you, that was really, really challenging and really difficult.
I could imagine. I want to say hi. We have a couple people in the room. Hi. Hi, Sarah. Hi, Jody. Thanks for watching.
Sarah's all the way from the UK.
Oh, really? That's great.
Yes. Hi, Sarah.
It's so funny. Even on my own podcast, at the end, I say, there's a million podcasts there. I'm so grateful that you even are listening, that you found us. So welcome, for finding us here on our Facebook Live and maybe learning a little bit more about Elias. So the people that are in the room, though, maybe they're already listeners, but they can tell all their friends to get the Your Inner Voice podcast and check out what you're doing. So what are some of the things that you teach on the podcast and that you share with listeners? Because people are always looking for tips and things to improve themselves on. And you're such a great teacher.
I love to, first of all, I love my whole thing. If you go to my website, you'll see it says connect, educate, and grow. That's what I'm all about. It's all about connecting people. And I think part of my sole purpose is connecting people to other people, their ability to understand who they are. So they're connecting to others and to themselves. And that's how they're going to educate themselves and grow. I want to have the listeners learn from all different kinds of people, whether they're into intuition or not. There's always a story about someone said, that little voice just told me, whether they're using that technology or that terminology rather of inner voice, they are using and trusting their intuition. And I think that's the big piece, is how do we trust that little nod that we get from the universe? How do we really say, I'm having faith, I'm taking one step forward, and I hope to continue to take those steps? I think we were taught that those steps have to be leaps. And that's why we fail, is we don't understand the tiny little movement is still moving forward. It's still pushing through something. So I hope on my podcast that I bring these wonderful guests and myself too, when I just do a podcast on my own, I want people to leave with, that's interesting, or that's fascinating, or you know what, I'm going to try that. I'm going to see how that works for me.
Right. And maybe tell their friends and have them listen, do some of the exercises. And you share some great meditations. I've heard you do some things like that. And how does that benefit you in your life, a meditation practice? I've been working with an app, trying to get my practice back on track. And it's so beneficial when you can give yourself some quiet time. And you share that on the podcast too, and on your videos.
The meditation is really helpful for me because sometimes people are like, oh, do you have a scripted meditation that you use? I'm like, I really do better off script. And I used to be a perfectionist. So I would get really mad at myself for messing up. And now I just go with the flow and I'm like, okay, what did that mean? Why did I say it that way? Well, let's just go with it. And I think the important thing is, here's a tip right now, everybody. When you get out of bed, just don't rush to get to the computer, get on your cell phone. Get up and say something that you're grateful for, a gratitude, just one thing that you're grateful for. And that in alone can be meditative. I tell people, look, we all can't do this. Ready? Here we go. My props that I have. Y'all can't do this. Because I'm thinking, what's for dinner? Where's my grocery list?
Right.
It doesn't work like that. For me, I can meditate while I'm doing the dishes. I can meditate by taking off my shoes and socks and earthing myself, putting my feet on the grass and just giving a gratitude or saying thank you. I say thank you to them every day. When I sit in my office, my parents are over my shoulder for a reason. I always look at the camera and I'm like, in my head, I'm like, thank you for choosing me. Thank you for getting me. So
Oh, that's so
it's
nice.
that kind of and it doesn't have to be that big for everybody. It could be just like, I'm so grateful for the air that I breathe. And then go with that feeling. Close your eyes and how does it feel? Go outside, close your eyes. How does the fresh air feel on your face? How does the wind feel on your face?
A
So
little bit of gratitude goes a lot. I have my ancestors behind me as well. I like to have pictures of them near me. It makes me feel good. And those are great tips, for gratitude. I try to remember that, first thing in the morning. And I have my props too. I have like my Louise Hay cards,
I
you
love
know.
it. I love it. I have mine too right here. I've got
Those are great.
Denise Lynn's cards right here.
Love
So,
Denise.
and I've got Radley, who's also on here on mindbodyspirit.fm. Guys, you should listen to Radley Valentine. I have he and Dougal Fraser. So I've got all of them here.
All the
Um,
tools.
all the tools. Yes, yes. I even have other props. Sometimes when people are on my lives, or I'm going to do, guys, soon a live on the podcast. So please, if you want to be part of it, let us know. Let us know. Sometimes when people say like, "Oh, what do you agree about that?" I'm like, "Well, I disagree." I love these little. I love these little props.
It's fun.
It is
So
fun.
one of the other things you do is you're also a medium. Is that right?
I'm actually, Diane, really bad dad joke. I'm actually a large now. I was a medium for a very
You're a
long
large.
time. I'm large.
So when those large messages come through, how does that manifest for you? Like, how do you feel it? Is it like a little voice? I know other people like John Holland's amazing medium, and he would see like pictures, like if someone was an alcoholic, he'd see like a bottle of whiskey or something like that. Does it come to you as visual, or is it more of a feeling, like a clairsentient thing? Or
Um, it comes in many ways. It all depends on the person that's in front of me, or the person that's on the phone, or the person that's via Zoom, or whatever it is. Being Greek, I usually get food first. It's just crazy. Like I will actually taste things, and but I see, I feel, I hear. Sometimes I'll pull things out. I'm like, where did that come from? So there's that claircognizance. It's all the
Mhm.
clairs meaning
But
clear.
there's no clear tasting, right?
There clair gustacence and clair alliance. So smell and
Smell.
taste. Yeah.
Yes, I
Please.
get smell a lot.
Yeah.
Perfume, I'll smell a perfume that my grandmother used to wear, and I don't know if anyone knows this scent, but it's Estee Lauder Youth Dew. It's a very distinctive smell. So I've had that waft by a couple of times, and I'll smell that, or tobacco, and I'll think of my mother, because she smoked. So if I smell that, I'll think of her. But I never realized there was actually a Claire smelliance, I guess.
Yes. Clairsmellians. Yes, that's there you go. And it's funny, since you were talking about mediumship, the lights flickering, which I
Oh,
always
did it?
as a signal. So someone's trying to come through. So that's interesting. That's
Yeah,
very
that's a good kind of recognition, right? If there's someone around or someone in the room, electricity will be affected and flicker. Hopefully, it won't affect our computers or anything like
no,
that.
it
Our
doesn't.
Facebook Live will blow up. Hopefully not.
They just wanted us to recognize them. And this is the important piece. People always ask me as a medium, is so and so with me? Is my mom with me? Is my dad with me? I'm like, they're always with you. I feel that we need to know that we're never alone. We're never alone. And I try and make them laugh, because they get so, like, really, are they with? It's not like they're like, hey, bingo at 5, gotta go. They're always with us. They're always around us, and they're constantly
Right.
sending love. I think the part that people, for me personally, I wasn't able to hear from my mom for a year because I was angry, and I felt guilty because I wasn't there when she took her last breath. And that stopped the information that was being sent to me, because I couldn't see it, feel it, hear it, because my stuff was in my own way.
Right. And these are things that you talk about on the podcast and share, all of your gifts, mediumship, building intuition. And I think people are afraid to turn that on to connect with people on the other side. But you work with people to develop that, right?
I do. I actually have a course that is a psychic development, mediumship development, and personal development. People forget the personal development. If someone is saying, "Oh, I want to see more. I want to have that clairvoyancy," well, I'm going to ask them, "How do you see yourself? How do you look in the mirror and see yourself? How do you feel about yourself? The way that you see yourself, feel about yourself, and hear yourself talk negatively is going to lower the frequency of you receiving information."
Well, I'm excited that you're sharing all of this. I mean, I could talk about this all day long because I love these topics. I love finding out more. And just when I think I know something, I realize I know nothing. So there's always something to learn and ways to grow. So tell us real quick, like what you're working on now, and you've got what have you got in the works? I know
I'm
you've got
so
something in the
excited.
works.
I'm biting at the bit, Diane. I'm biting at the bit. My new book will be coming out really, really soon. It is called Changing the FU to Thank You: How to Flip the Script and See the Gift. It's a story slash workbook. And actually, Sonia Choquette, kudos to her. Her psychic pathway workbook actually gave me the idea to do this workbook like this. So I'm super excited about that. And I've got a meditation, a 20-minute guided meditation that comes with the book. So I'm excited. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Wow. Well, we're excited too. And we're going to share that with everybody, all our Facebook and Instagram friends. And I'm sure you'll be talking about it more on the podcast.
Yes.
So I want to thank you for joining me and helping me feel comfortable and have fun on this Facebook Live. And we're going to do more and introduce people to some of the other incredible podcasters that we have on the network. And it's so fun to build this and grow with you. So we're very grateful that you're a part of it. So everybody out there, thank you for joining me for the Facebook Live tonight. Head over to mindbodyspirit.fm, check out our lineup. Oh, there it is. Magically appeared. And listen to any of the podcasters right on the website. And you can also find all of our hosts wherever you get your podcast: Apple, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon, Pandora, wherever you get podcasts is where we are. So thank you, Elias, host of Your Inner Voice. And we will talk soon. Thank you, everybody.